What's up, guys? Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Wednesday, April 15th, traditionally tax day, COVID-19, who knows? They're extending stuff out, so normally I'd be writing a big check to the government today, but I'm going to let them wait until they tell me they got to have it. Been on the water quite a bit. In the office today, didn't fish today, didn't fish yesterday, been a little bit chilly, did fish over the weekend quite a bit, and quite a bit last week too, so got on the water. Shot some video. Maybe you guys have seen some of the new videos, the new Time on the Water series that we're doing. We had Eric Oliverson for a couple of weeks, just shot Matt Ells this past week, posted his first hour of the 2 hours on the website yesterday, but kind of a cool concept where we're taking an angler and basically giving them 2 hours to figure it out. Sometimes they do good, sometimes they don't do so good, but it really helps you guys see what these guys think and how they fish and how they figure out where the fish are and how to catch them under different conditions. As far as our lake level is concerned, we're at 918.5, which is 3.5 feet high. We do have gates open on Table Rock. They've got all the generators running on Beaver. They've got all the generators running on Bull Shoals. We're pretty stable right now. It's really not dropping, just with the amount of water coming out of Beaver. And a little bit of rain over the weekend. I expect to see the water level continue to drop, so keep an eye on that. Water temperature, man, guys, we were in the low 60s everywhere. A lot of spots were in the low 60s. Go up into the rivers and you see 64, 65 even. It's cooled down quite a bit with these cold nights. It's below freezing again last night. Actually, I think the last 3 nights it's been below freezing, so got the water back down into the mid 50s, seeing 56, 57. You'll see a few warmer temperatures than that, but a lot of the 55 to about 58 seems to be normal right now, or seems to be where we are. Fish are still moving up, fish are still getting ready to spawn, and there are fish still on beds. There are some fish that committed before this cool down, and those fish will stay up there and guard those eggs and stick around for a little bit, so keep that in mind as well. But if you guys are coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, you got fish on beds. If you want to go sight fishing, there's not a lot of fish on beds, but you will find some fish on beds if you want to go sight fishing right now. Use whatever you like to throw. I usually throw a jewel squirrel head in a 1/4 ounce and put either a finesse worm or a small craw on it if I'm going to try to sight fish and work the fish that way. But whatever you like to sight fish with, you can definitely do some of that right now. The better bite still seems to be on a swim bait, since it has cooled the water off and fish have backed out. Most of the fish we caught on Monday were out on secondary points close to spawning pockets, but not in the pockets. And most of them were suspended about 10 to 15 foot down over about 20 to 25, so they weren't really up in the water column. It was the first day of the front, and I think it was the coldest day of the front, and I think that really backed them off quite a bit, but that's how we've been catching them on a swim bait. You can still catch a few on a jig as well, either the Jewel Pee Wee football jig or the Pro Spider Jig, matched up with a speed craw or a beaver in those same locations. You are going to run into some moss, but the good news is it doesn't seem that the moss is quite as thick all over the lake as it was, say, 2 weeks ago before the water came up. Well, you can find quite a few spots where you can fish the bottom and not get moss, so keep that in mind as well. Go up into the Kimberling City area, same deal. You've got fish on beds. If you want to go sight fishing, you can go sight fishing. There are fish still on beds. There'll be more fish joining them probably by the end of the week or next week with this warm up we've got coming. You'll definitely have some sight fishing to do. Still doing really well with a swim bait. Keitech 2.8 or 3.3 on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0 has been my best combination. Again, most of these fish are hovering around those pockets, I guess is the best way to put it. They're not necessarily on the points or in the pockets. They're kind of suspended. They're out there about 10 to 12, 15 foot deep over about 18 to 20. You will find some a little bit shallower if you get some wind, though. If you get a good breeze blowing, those fish will move up and get a little bit shallower, so keep that in mind. Have been catching them on a spinnerbait a little bit, but a lot of that water is out of the bushes, and with it falling, it seems like those fish that were in the bushes have kind of backed out and they're out on the old bank line or even a little bit deeper. So the spinnerbait bite's not been as good, but we have been catching them on Ned rig, we have been catching them on a squirrel head, have been catching them on a Pro Spider Jig and a Pee Wee football jig, and a tube for that matter. The Bass Pro Tender tube's working as well. around those spawning pockets, either on the points or just inside the spawning pockets. Really seems to be a good spot to find fish. Most of them 8 to about 15 foot deep. Again, you will have areas where you have moss. If you're picking up a lot of moss, go to the next pocket, because some of the creeks, Fisher Creek has a lot of moss in it. Schooner Creek doesn't seem to have as much, so it's kind of a weird deal. So you just move around a little bit and you'll find those areas where you don't have nearly the moss. The other bite that we did when we were in Kimberling City the other day was a weightless Enko. A wacky rigging a weightless Enko and just throwing it up next to the bushes and letting it sink to the bottom and then just popping it. Most of the bites were coming on that first initial fall. So another way to catch them, throw a weightless Enko around the bushes. You can catch a few doing that. Go up into the James. James is actually fishing pretty good. Water's kind of cold in the James because it's still got a pretty good stain to it. Was up there, I guess it was Sunday. Went up into the James. Didn't go way up, went up to about around Point 12, Campers Point area. Didn't go all the way up to Cape Fair. But the bite's been pretty good up there. Definitely want to have a jig tied on. Caught a lot of fish on a Jewel Pro Spider Jig on some of the steeper transition banks around spawning pockets. Again, if you want to go sight fishing, there's fish in the pockets on beds. There'll be more of them joining them over the next 2 weeks, so keep that in mind if you want to go sight fishing. But we did catch them on the secondary points and just inside the spawning pockets on a jig on the squirrel head with a beaver on it, so keep that in mind. Still catching a few on a swim bait up there as well. Keitech 2.8, 3.3 on a 2.0 head from Jewel, Gem Shad 2.0. And the spinnerbait bite is probably a little better up there just because you've got more, for lack of a better word, trash in the water. You've got a lot more laydowns, a lot more wood that extends out into deeper water. So if you're going up, old Cedar Cove had a lot of trash in it. We caught some fish on a spinnerbait there. I'm sure you could do it at Piney and at Woolly, some of these creeks where you get a lot of laydowns in them, especially towards the backs. Definitely throw a spinnerbait up there as well. I've been throwing the Gem Blade and doing pretty well with it, so keep that in mind as well. Go up the White River, that's where I was on Saturday. And the bite was actually pretty good. Didn't have any wind early and caught him on a weightless Enko, just like we were down by Kimberling City. Just a weightless Enko, wacky rig, throwing it up next to the bushes and just working it back slow, just kind of pop it and let it fall back down. Caught several fish doing that. Caught him on a swim bait, Keitech 2.8 and 3.3 on the Jewel Gem Shad 2.0 head. Caught him on an underspin, throwing the Jewel Gem Blade, or I guess Gem Spin, with a 3.8 Keitech on it. On the points, most of the fish on that day seemed to be just inside the points, not all the way to the backs of the pockets, not out on the points, just inside the points. Of course, that was before the front. We did see fish on beds, didn't really fish for them, but you can sight fish up the White River right now as well, so you've got that going on. And then if you get a good windy day, I'm sure you can catch them on a spinnerbait too, just like you can anywhere else on the lake. The Jewel Gem Blade, around bushes, around laydowns. Look for areas where you got laydowns, where you got a little bit deeper water around the wood cover. That's where you're going to catch the fish. The bushes really just don't have that much water around them, and unless you've got a really good wind blowing into the bank, or the fish are just up there spawning right up against the bushes, you'll have a harder time catching them throwing a spinnerbait that shallow right now. Guys, it is halfway through April. We are still on Corona lockdown, COVID lockdown, stay at home, whatever you want to call it. We've been fishing. I've been going out with friends, doing a guide trip here and there. You know, if you guys want to go fishing, go fishing. If you're healthy, you're well, you go with a family member or whatever, go fishing. Have a good time. It's a great place to social distance. I mean, the fishing's good. It's only going to get better. We got a little hiccup with this cold front, but the fishing's really been good this spring. Catching a lot of fish. If you guys are thinking about, I'm hoping that we'll be back open for business by May. I am doing a few trips now and again, but I've got to be real selective about who I take. It's mostly people I've taken before or that I know. But we get into May, we'll definitely be hopefully back on full bore. This virus thing will be tapering down and we can go like we normally would. But if you guys are coming down, you want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email, book online. Either way, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. We can discuss options, figure out when you want to go, get out on the water, catch some fish, and have a good time. Guys, thanks for watching the videos. Take a minute to subscribe if you haven't. Again, check out tablerockfishingintel.com if you haven't done that. Heck of a lot of information on there. We're trying to post at least 1 or 2 things a day to give you guys fresh information, something to read, something to look at, something to watch while you're stuck at home. But anyway, check out tablerockfishingintel.com. A lot of stuff on there for you. But guys, thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.